Well, good morning to all the viewers and my dear students. Today, beside there is a very precious day also. So, on this day, so I say happy Holi to all of them. In Holi, is a mixture of all the colors. So, a similar topic we are going to study today is that the scattering of light, and this topic is very much interesting. It is interesting to understand our nature, and beside it is very interesting so that you may get certain problems in the examinations. Now, let us try to understand what is meant by so called the scattering of light. That is, as you know, that when the light comes away from the sun, it has to travel many light years and then finally it reaches our earth. Now, in between the earth and the sun, there are a lot of intermediate media is there, and it has to bypass all this media. So, there so happen that the whatever the energy it possesses when it is directly coming out from the sun may not be the same energy as it reaches us, or it is falls on us, or it falls on the earth. Now, the question is, now what happened to the energy of this? So, it is as good if we can imagine that if you go near a water pond and there you just throw one stone, then what happens? The ripples starts, and these ripples starts spreading through the entire pond. Then what you notice, that is, the moment you put a stone there is a more ripple, more disturbance, and as this disturbance as they advances, as they goes on spreads, so that means the disturbance will spread, but what about the energy goes on decreases. So, in a similar way, when the light travels from the sun, as it approaches the various media, in a similar way it has to interact with a lot of medias involved in it, and it has to give away its energy to this media. Now, here is what we are interested to understand, that is, once it gives away the energy, then what is the energy left over? This is really to understand. Then what actually happens is, when the sunlight, as it comes away from the sun, the amount of energy it possesses, it is tremendously more. Now, for your kind information, if you really wanted to know how much is the energy, see, the energy possessed by a beam of light directly from the sun. That means, you consider a single beam of light directly from a sun, and this single beam of light you directly allow in 100 ml of your coffee, then instantaneously the coffee starts boiling. Oh, that is so much of energy a ray of light possesses. If this ray of light, if it is directly falls on us, you can imagine what will happen. So, we will immediately burn to ash. It is not we, I mean the entire our earth will smash. So, I think one way you can say that the God has protected us, is a creator. So, whatever the energy directly coming from the sun, so it finally it loses, and how much energy we require, that amount of energy is being available. Now, the point of interest here now we notice is, now what actually meant by this so called the scattering of light. Scattering of light in the sense, as I told you, whenever the sunlight passes through the atmosphere, the energy of the sunlight is being absorbed by the atmosphere molecules, and then after absorbing the atmospheric molecules, then these molecules again it will re-radiate the energy in all the directions. Now, this type of scattering of light is called as this type of scattering is nothing but the scattering of light. Now, here we noticed that there are two types of scattering of light will takes place. One type of light of scattering is referred as coherent scattering. Another type of scattering is referred as incoherent scattering. Then what is the difference between the two? The difference is, whereas in case of coherent scattering, when the light is incident on certain substance. Now, what is the substance? Let us say for example, our atmosphere, it consisting of air. That means, when the ray of light, if it falls on the atmosphere, then what happens? As I told you, it consisting of air. In term, the air consisting of oxygen is there, nitrogen is there, and carbon dioxide is there, and there are so many gaseous molecules are there. Then, if the scattered light, that means once the light enters into the atmosphere, after coming away from the atmosphere, if the wavelength of the incident light and that of the scattered light, if they are almost same, then this type of scattering is called as coherent scattering. Now, this scattering is also referred as elastic scattering, and is found out by a scientist. It is also called as Rayleigh's scattering. Now, there is another type of scattering, now which we called as incoherent scattering. In a incoherent scattering, when the light is incident on certain substance, it get scattered, but the scattered radiation has got different wavelength. The wavelength of the scattered radiation and that of the incident radiations are totally different. If this is the case, then the such type of scattering is called as incoherent scattering. It is also known as inelastic scattering, or it is also referred as stroke scattering. Now, let us try to understand what will happen during the time of scattering. Now, this was been explained by a well known scientist. His name is called as Rayleigh. In the year 1871, and he found out that when the sunlight travels from atmosphere to the earth, as I told you earlier, the earth is consisting of atmosphere, that is in term it contains air. Then most of the atmospheric molecules, they absorb the energy of the sunlight, then it will try to re-radiate the energy in all the directions. Then he found out, that is, the coefficient of scattering, the amount of scattering is inversely proportional to lambda raised to 4, inversely proportional to lambda raised to 4. So, that is, so it is directly inversely proportional to lambda raised to 4. So, that is the coefficient of scattering. It is inversely proportional to 1 by lambda raised to 4, where lambda is referred as the wavelength of the light. And this result, whatever the Rayleigh has shown, and it has been verified experimentally by one more scientist, his name is Tyndall. So, he found out whatever Rayleigh said, that is the amount of scattering is depends upon the wavelength. Now, since the wavelength is there in the denominator, as you know that the wavelength is there in a denominator, if the value of the denominator increases, the coefficient of scattering decreases, or if this value goes on decreases, that means this value increases. So, he found out that a certain concept, that is, when the incident ray, it do not undergo any change in the wavelength. He found out that whatever the light, incident light, if it falls on the atmosphere, if the atmosphere contains the molecules, then after the scattering, if the same amount of light comes away, that means the wavelength remains same. What does it mean? It means, so there is no absorption of light by the air molecules or the atmosphere takes place. So, this is one thing he noticed. Then again he noticed that if the light get scattered by the transparent media, then it contains additional rays of different wavelength. This is quite interesting to notice. So, that is now whenever the scattering of light takes place, then the scattering light, it may contain the scattering light, it may contain the longer wavelength or it may contain the shorter wavelength. So, that means when the scattered light contains longer wavelength, it means that the incident light, that means the energy of the incident light is given to the scattered molecules. So, that accounts for the longer wavelength. So, whereas if the scattered light contains a shorter wavelength, it means that some of the energy is being received from the scattered molecules. So, this is what the Tyndall has explained during the process of scattering of the light. Now, this is a very interesting concept. Now, because of this concept, one thing I would like to tell you here is, we were not known that the helium is present in the sun for a long years. Now, after observing the so called the total eclipse, so scientists could able to analyze based on this scattering phenomena that the sun is consisting of helium. So, what does it mean? It means, suppose if we can able to perform certain experiments, based on this one can able to understand the process of what is called as scattering. Now, based on this scattering of light, there are certain examples now which you look at into nature. So, that is, if you observe the nature, that is during the daytime, you can see the sky appears blue, even the sea water also appears blue. If you look at in the morning, as the sun rises, as it sets, then again you can see it looks almost red, right. Again, suppose why it is so, what could be the reason? The reason is, now here is, when the sunlight passes through the atmosphere, the sun ray light, it consisting of ultraviolet rays, ultraviolet radiations, then it will consisting of infrared rays, then it consisting of what is called as the visible light, that is what we see. Now, here is the ultraviolet light, it is more dangerous to all the living creatures on the earth. Now, here what nature has planned? The nature has planned to reduce the amount of UV rays, that is ultraviolet rays, falling on this earth. Now, what is the nature has made an arrangement? It has made a very beautiful arrangement to protect the living creatures on the earth. That is, the nature has provided a layer, that is a ozone layer. There is a ozone layer, this ozone layer. Now, as the light try to falls, it has to touch the ozone layer. As it touch the ozone layer, the so called the UV rays, which are more dangerous, and this UV rays, it is totally, it is absorbed by this ozone layer. But now, as you know that now because of our the growth in technology, now we say that we have become modernized. Now, we have this technology, we have that type of technology. So, in term, so this technology is affecting this layer. So, that is there is what is called as this depletion of ozone layer takes place. That means, as you know that there are a lot of holes has been formed into the ozone layers, and some of these rays, they are directly reaching us. As this directly reaches us, if it is falls on, say, on our body, so there may be, it leads to what are called as the sunspots on our body, and in turn it leads to say a skin cancers, and these rays has to be prevented. Anyway, so let us try to understand now why the sky looks blue in color. So, that is as we know that as the sunlight falls on the atmosphere, and in turn the atmosphere consisting of different molecules, then as I told you, as the sunlight, it possesses UV rays, and majority of the UV rays will be reduced by this ozone layer. Then whatever the light, if it is enters the atmosphere, and it will get scattered. But if you look at our spectrum, that is so called the visible light what we have. So, there in the visible light, it is referred as what are called as VIBGYOR. It is made up of 7 colors, the violet reside and the red, in between VI, B, Y and all that you have, if you can remember this. Now, so this violet, even if it is present in the atmosphere, it will get scattered, and this violet which scattered into the atmosphere more, now we cannot able to see this violet into the atmosphere. Now, the reason behind is our eye are not sensitive to this rays. That is the reason, if our eye would have been sensitive, we would have seen that the sky almost looks like violet. That is not the case. The next comes the blue. Again, the blue also get scattered, as the blue wavelength of the blue is very less compared to that of the red light. So, that is the reason we can able to see that the blue light is scattered more than that of the red light. So, this is how now we can say that the sky appears blue. Now, whereas in case of during the time of the sunset or the sunrise, So, we can see the earth, I mean we are seeing the sun from the earth. So, it almost look red in color. Then what could be the reason is? The reason is, as the light of lower frequency, as it scattered by the nitrogens or oxygen molecules into the atmosphere, the red and orange and yellow lights are transmitted through this atmosphere. Then the violet and the blue will be scattered less. That means, when we try to observe, say during the daytime, so what we can notice is, the say in the afternoon, now the sun is almost above the overhead, and we are on the surface of the earth as an observer. If you directly take the distance, and this distance is almost less compared to this distance, that is during the evening time. So, then what happen is, what actually happen here is, as the sun is above the overhead, the distance travelled, it is very less compared to that of the horizon. So, here we will find that the blue scattered away, and the as a result we can able to see the reddish color. So, it is because of this the red color we can able to see that. So, the type of scatter, that is what I explained earlier, that is either it could be the reason why the sky looks blue or the red color of the sun, and these type of scattering is an example for the Rayleigh scattering, or it is for the elastic scattering. Now, now the example for the incoherent scattering, that is inelastic scattering. Now, this type of scattering, it is been found out by Sir C.V. Raman in the year 1928. Sorry. So, because of this he has been awarded a Nobel Prize. So, when Raman, C.V. Raman was conducting experiments on some organic liquids, the liquids like benzenes or a toluene, etc., they are the organic liquids. So, he found that the scattered beam contains the other frequency in addition to that of the incident light. So, he was surprised to see, now how does this additional frequency has come from? Now, to explain this phenomena, it is purely based on the quantum mechanical theory. Then so he has conducted a very simple experiment again to show this additional frequency. Now, what he did is, he has considered a benzene in a round bottle flask, and the round bottle flask has been illuminated by a source of mercury light. The wavelength of the mercury light, is about 3458 Armstrong unit, and then the light coming out from the flask. So, that is, this is a round bottle flask which contains benzene. Now, from the one side the light is passed through this wavelength, and whatever the light coming out, and this light has to pass through, because the media is almost a transparent media. If this light, the scattered light, if it is observed through a instrument called as spectrometer, so he found that the original light, the original wavelength of the incident light, and some other longer wavelength and the shorter wavelength of the light he found. So, that means, so he found out here there are three types of waves. one is whatever the light, the wavelength of the incident radiation it possesses, he has found out the same wavelength, that is, so after the scattering the wavelength almost remain, that is 3458 degree Armstrong unit. So whereas the other two, that is, so he found out that in addition to this, so there are longer wavelength, longer than this, and again there is a shorter wavelength. Now then he tried to conclude that the so called the longer wavelength and the shorter wavelength, what could be the reason for this. So I can, the spectrum for this is the spectrals what he has found out. This is the original wavelength. So toward the right side you can see there are lines are there in the spectrometer, and there are lines, and these lines are called as the anti-Stokes lines, and this is called as the Stokes lines. So that means in addition to the incident ray, so he found out there are two more wavelengths. Then the longer wavelength as is called as the Stokes lines, and the shorter wavelength is called as the anti-Stokes lines. And this Stokes lines, it is found to be brighter, more brighter than that of the anti-Stokes lines. Now what could be the reason? That is, there are two extra wavelengths are present. The reason behind this is, as I told earlier, whenever the incident light, if it falls on a transparent media, then as it falls on a transparent media, the energy of this incident light is being absorbed by the media. Then as it absorbs by the media, then there is a possibility is that whatever the light is coming away, so the light which is been coming away, it may possess a lesser wavelength or it may possess more wavelength. Lesser wavelength in the sense, that means there is some energy has been absorbed by the media has absorbed the energy. So more energy in the sense, that means to this the media has contributed certain energy. So that means what actually happen is, generally to tell you here is, whenever the ray of light as it enters into the media, either the energy is being lost or the energy is being gained. So that means the ray of light as it passes through that, it may lose the energy or it may gain the energy. So as it lose the energy, then that will contribute to a longer wavelength. As it gain the energy, it contribute to the shorter wavelength. As it lose the energy, it will contribute to longer the wavelength. So this is what it is been concluded in this. Now what are the characteristics of these lines? The characteristics of these lines, as Raman defined as, the material which absorbs the energy from the incident light and it is re-emitted, that is energy. Now we have said the energy is nothing but, here we said is a light, that is nothing but a photon. Now this will have either the lower energy, that means then the absorbed photons, then this has a longer the wavelength, that means the longer the wavelength, it will correspond to what is called as the Stokes lines. If the material loses the energy, now from the incident, the emitted photon, the energy coming out, so it will have a higher energy, that means the absorbed photon has takes place, and this leads to what is called as the shorter the wavelength. Now the question is, now this effect been used where? Where this Raman's effects are used. Raman effects are very interesting effect. It has got many applications, and some of the applications we have put forth here. So Raman has helped to determine the binding force in a crystals, that is to study the composition of the mixtures, that is where it is being used in the certain plastic industries, and it also helps to investigate the thermal state of the liquid. So, this is a very interesting applications of the Raman effect. The second applications of the Raman effect is, it is very useful. It is very useful to investigate what is called as the rotational and vibration energy levels of the molecules. Now, that is, as we know that whenever you take say a glass of water, now for our eye it seems that the water molecules almost remains at rest, but in fact it is not in rest, it continuously vibrates. Now, to what an extent it vibrates, so that is the Raman effects helps to analyze their state of vibrations in all this, and during the state of vibration what is the energy it possesses and all this. So, this is what it means. The next is, so there are various chemical effects now, such as electrolytic dissolution will takes place. That is, electrolytic dissolution in the sense when we try to pass electricity through a solution which conduct electricity. So, there what happen is, because of this there is a ions takes place, a positive ions will takes place, a positive ion and a negative ions will takes place. That is, to understand the nature of the ions, so this phenomena is been used, and so there you can able to analyze the strength of the chemical bondings now in a electrolyte. Now, suppose if I take an example of HCl, hydrochloric acid, now where the hydrogen is bonded with chlorine. Now, what is the strength, what is the energy of this binding? So, one can able to understand so in this process. So, next is the Raman spectroscopy, it used to study the impurities in crystals. Now, you know that we have various types of crystals. To understand the purity of the crystals, then so this effect is being used. Raman effect is also used to study the molecular structure. Now, this is where the lot of work has been done to understand the structure of the molecules. Now, nowadays they are finding out this structure on a technology is called as nanotechnology. I think you might have heard of what is called as this nanotechnologies. This is one of the interesting, a powerful tool where the materials are understand in terms of nano level in the sense to an order of 10 raised to minus 9 meter. Earlier we can able to see the things with the help of say by a microscope to an extent of micro level, that is 10 raised to minus 6. So, there we can see the structure of the organic molecules at micro level and the structure of the same organic molecules or any molecules at a nano level, they are totally different. They are totally different. So, now we actually we are in a dynamo confusions that what actually the nature or what actually the shape or the structure of the molecule still we are not able to understand. Now we have this emerging technology side, nanotechnology. So, based on this nanotechnology, with the help of the Raman effect, no one can able to understand. Now, again the same as I told you, the last what I have felt to give you information, that is, it is also used to determine the shape of the molecule. As I told you, still we are in a confused state what could be the actually the shape of certain complex organic molecules. Still now we do not know, maybe in future now based on the nano level one can able to understand the shape and structure of these organic molecules. If we can understand the shape, structure and organic molecules, what scientist says is say one of the example I want to tell you here. Now, in what way this will help the scientist, that is, now we have certain chronic diseases, like, and these chronic diseases, it can be prevented, it cannot be cured, that is one thing. And second, and some people will getting the hereditary diseases. So, in order to understand, suppose some people, some fellow is been suffering from say TB. Now, we know what is the cause, but do not know what exactly the molecular structure which is causing this TB. Now, suppose you try to understand the molecular structure of a patient who is been suffering from a TB, and if you take the molecular structure of a healthy normal human being, then if you try to compare the structure, then if you can know the deformalities, and that can able to help to understand this, then definitely the day will come that one can able to eradicate so this type of diseases. And the next is what is called as the laser. It is very interesting, that is the laser. I think most of you will be familiar with this acronym laser. L stands for light and A stand for amplification and S stand for stimulated, E for emission and R for radiations. So, that means now this process where the light is been amplified, there is an amplification of the light will takes place. Now, how the amplification of the light will takes place? By a special type of process is called as stimulated emission, and this stimulated emissions, so that means there is a stimulated emission is there, and this has been said by long ago by Einstein, that so there is a possibility of stimulations, but that time there are no facilities available to have this process what is called as stimulation emission. Now, in this case what happen is, as I told you, if you take a ray directly from the sun, now it is a highly intense beam. If this beams, if it falls on certain object, the completely the object will burn, Now, here is the same concept, it is been obtained to make a highly intense beam of laser. So, by a special type of process is called as stimulation. To understand this process, stimulation process, so it is, as I told you, it is based on the quantum mechanical idea. Let us try to understand certain concept. We will go to what is called as stimulated emission. Now, here is, let us imagine there is a atom in the ground state, and say ground state whose energy is say E1, and say there is a in upper state or the last state, this is called as the excited state. The energy of the excited state is E2. So, suppose if you incident, as you know that I told you in scattering also, that is as the light based on the quantum mechanical idea. Now, this light is called as the photon. When these photons, if it is falls on certain substance media, then what happen? So, this as it falls on this, there is a interaction will takes place. So, when you try to interact, the energy of the photon either it is been absorbed by the media or it will not absorb by the media. So, there what actually happen here is, that is what we try to explain here. The explanation is that, let us imagine that the majority of the atoms or the particles, or you can imagine electrons, whatever you can imagine, is they are present in the lower state. If we incident a photon, that is a light, if we incident a light here on the material, then what happen? The particle which has been present in the ground state, the particle which is present in the ground state, and this particle will absorb the energy of the photon. Once it absorbs the energy of the photon, then what actually happen is, then this particle will gain more energy. As a result, their kinetic energy goes on increases. The kinetic energy of this particle is so increased, it will try to go to the higher energy state, it will jump to the higher energy level. Now, here what happened is earlier the particle was present at the ground state. Now this particle you are making it to go to a higher state. How? By impinging a light, a photon. So, that means the energy of this incident photon absorbed by this the particles in the ground state, it will get excited. So, this type of absorption of the particle is called as induced absorption, and this process is also referred as what we doing, the particles which are present in the ground state. Now, you are elevating, you are making this particle to go to the higher energy state. So, you are elevated the particle. So, how this is elevation has been taken place? By incident certain energy. Now, this type of absorption is referred as what is called as induced absorption. So, that means in the induced absorptions you are inducing the energy to the particle will absorb the energy, then the particle will go to the higher excited state. Now the particle is in the higher excited state. Now, the particle is in a higher state. So, earlier this particle was present in the ground state, now it has gone to higher energy level. So, in a higher energy level it will not stay here for a long time, it will not stay. Now, why it will not stay? Because it was earlier in a ground state. Now, maybe he is not happy, because he remains happy and comfortable only at the ground state. Now, we have made this particle to go to higher energy. So, here what happened? So, it will not stay there and it will come back, it will just come down, it will, now it is in a higher state, now it will just fall back to the ground state. While falling back, what is interesting we noticed here is, it will produce a photon, it will produce an energy. Now this type of emission, this emission we called as spontaneous emission. The word spontaneous means, without any external force, without giving any external energy, the particle is getting down, falling down back to the ground state without the help of any external force. Now, this type of emission we refer it as what is called as the spontaneous emission. Now again, that is what we are interested to know now, that is the stimulated emission. It is very, very interesting to understand here. Now, let us assume that the particle is already in the excited state. The particle is already in the excited. So, there from the excited state it will come back to the ground state, that is 100% definite, it will not stay there. Now, before it can come back, now within that if we can pass a photon, if we can incident a photon, then what happen? So, the particle which is in a higher state, so it will not absorb the energy of this photon. This is interesting to note. Please student, please note that the particles are in a excited state. When the particles are in a excited state, it will fall definitely. Before it is falling, if you can incident a photon, then what happen? This photon will not be absorbed by this particle. This photon will come away as it is. It will come away. As it is come away, in addition to this, it will bring one more similar photon. As it brings, that means, so this will jump back to the ground state. So, here what we noticed is, that is the energy of this, the photons which are coming out, it is almost 100%, you can say they are identical photons. So, this type of emission which we have stimulated in the sense we have stimulated according to our command. Now, this type of stimulation is referred as stimulated emission, and this is the technique which is used in the production of lasers. So, because of this we are getting similar types of photons, they are similar in all the respect, similar in wavelength, similar frequency, similar in energy. So, one photon will going to be multiplied, and this process are used in the production of what we called as the laser production. So, this is a very interesting the phenomena now where the light which has been present, that is which has been obtained in a laser, it is purely based on this concept, that is stimulated emission. Now, this concept has been used in the production of laser. So, that is most probably the time not permit me to complete this. So, hopefully I may complete this in the next time. So, there you can really enjoy how the laser is being produced and what are the various applications which are being used in this modern world. The lasers are widely used in medical field as well as in engineering fields. So, there you can really realize how important the lasers are in our day to day life. So, most probably, so I will try to explain the concepts, the production of the laser next time. Okay, till that, so you can just go through whatever which I have covered. If any questions are there, in fact, you can send the question is, the next time we will try to solve this. Okay, till that, so you can take care. Neither I can see you, you can see me. So, till that you can take care. So, goodbye. Thank you.